Hey guys, welcome back to the series on getting started with the API on SXBet. Alright, so last part of the series here is going to be on setting up the WebSocket connection so that I can get real-time updates in my bot. So by subscribing to different WebSocket channels, I can get a feed on the status of certain markets. I can get parlay market requests, line change updates, score updates, trade updates, order updates, and order book updates. So that's going to be changes to an order book. I would get an alert anytime a new offer is posted or an offer is canceled. Using the WebSocket is the one operation that actually requires us to have an API key here. So let's start off by fetching that.
So to get your API key, just go to your account page on SXBet here, and as long as you've completed basic and enhanced verification, you'll have the option to generate a new API key. So once you've generated your key, just store it somewhere safe and we'll come back to it later.
Now I'm going to come back to Claude and add my prompt, which contains the usual setup explaining that I want to create a modular program to subscribe to the order book WebSocket channel. So in subscribing to the order book channel, you can restrict updates to only orders for a certain token. And since 95% of the bets on the platform are in USDC, I'm going to set that as a constant, which I've done in my prompt. So then I ask for an entry point here that will actually use the module so that I can test it and make sure that it's working. So as always, I'm going to paste the relevant sections of the API docs below, and I've also added two key points here. The first being that the version of Apply that I have is 2.6.3, which is different than the docs, and also that my program uses ES modules, and so it needs to write code for that specification. So now I'll just go copy the entire initialization section from the WebSocket documentation, as well as all of the documentation for the order book updates section. Then I'll go ahead and send the prompt.
So now it's time to create the files and add the code. So I'm going to create a new folder again here for this module, and I'll just call it something like WebSocket, and then I need to create an index.js for my entry point and a file for the main WebSocket module too. Then I'll just get the code that Claude generated for me here and add it to each respective file. Now I'm going to need to store my SX API key inside of a .env file, so I'll copy this formatting from Claude and then go ahead and create a .env file inside of the WebSocket folder, and then I'll paste my API key in there. Now, since I asked Claude to allow me to send the market hashes that I want to subscribe to in the terminal, I'm going to need to actually go fetch a market hash to test with here. Similarly to what I've done in previous episodes, I'm going to open up developer tools once I'm on SXBet here and then head to the network tab and just find one of these network requests where I can easily copy a market hash for testing. Next, I'll pop open a new terminal, navigate to the WebSocket folder with the command cd WebSocket, and install the required dependencies with npm install, and then it's Apply, Axios, and .env. All right, now let's test the module. And I'm getting this Apply error, but luckily LLMs seem to mess this up every time, and I can fix it just by removing that .promise from the initialization code. So let's try it again here. So subscribe, and I'll paste my market hash here. Now let's try to view some of these and select my market hash, and it looks like we are properly getting WebSocket updates for that order book. So to conclude the series, I've now got a module for subscribing to WebSocket channels, which is going to allow me to integrate real-time updates from the site into any bot that I build on SX.